Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ron Ratner. I'm the Senior Associate Commissioner at the Northeast Conference, and we are here today for a men's basketball Google Hangout on air, brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Please visit geico.com. Today, I'm so happy to be joined by Bryant, Senior Guard, Corey Maynard. He is our NEC Choice Hotels Player of the Week. So happy to have you. Thanks for joining us, Corey.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
All right, so let's see. What did Corey do to warrant a Google Hangout and Player of the Week honors? Well, he did it all. Last week, I'm going to run some numbers here. 24.5 points, 4.5 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals. And not only that, but he shot 70% from the field. Hit 7 out of 10 threes. Dropped a career-high 30 against FDU. Made 12 out of 15 shots. Most important thing, they came in 2 wins for Bryant. Now 3-1 in league play. So congrats on a great week, Corey. Everything seemed to be clicking for you last week. How does it feel when you get on a hot streak like that, shooting-wise? Does it translate to all facets of your game?
Yeah, I guess I like to think that I can influence a game without scoring the ball. So I hadn't been shooting the ball that well leading up to the last couple of weeks. League play I've been doing all right, but I injured my wrist against Notre Dame, and that had been giving me a lot of trouble. But I finally, when we had a 10-day break from playing Lehigh to St. Francis, PA, opening the league, I had a chance to rest it, and my wrist is finally, back to full strength, and it's been good to kind of, reap the benefits from that, especially shooting the ball.
So let's get into you this season. Now, the last couple of years at Bryant, you played more off the ball. Frankie Dobbs was running the show, one of the great point guards in the league the last couple of years. So at some point in the off season, Coach O'Shea, comes to you. I need you to take over for Frankie. I need you to run things. What were your initial thoughts when the word came down?
I was fully confident. I was recruited as a point guard when I was going through that process, and I played it in, all my junior basketball, they call it back in Australia, and through high school. So it was actually more of a transition to me playing off the ball when I got to Bryant as a freshman and a sophomore. So I was ecstatic when he told me that he was moving me back to the point guard position, and I went through my, a bit of a learning curve after not playing it for 3 years earlier this season. But, Coach stuck with me and kept reminding me that was to be expected and there was going to be some ups and downs. But, since then it's kind of been smooth sailing, and I'm back and I'm comfortable playing it.
Was there a point in the season so far where you felt like, okay, I'm really commanding this position now, or did it take you just preseason practice, or did it take some gameplay to get you going there?
No, it took some gameplay. Like I said, there was some ups and downs through the preseason, and there was days when I really felt like I was commanding the position, and there was days where I didn't feel that way. And I think we played Brown the day before Thanksgiving, and I actually missed the front end of 2 1-on-1s with under a minute left, and we ended up winning the game, which was good, but it made it a little less comfortable than it could have been. So ever since that game, I kind of had a good hard look at myself and said, I got to be better for my teammates and as a leader and a senior and stepping up in those clutch moments. And ever since then, I feel like I've done a pretty good job in that.
So Frankie Dobbs, he graduates, but he sticks around. He's on your coaching staff now. Has he helped you with some of the nuances of the position?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Frank's numbers and achievements speak for itself. Having him on the bench, just talking to me throughout the game and through practices, just on a day-to-day basis, as a coach, and obviously he was my teammate for 3 years, so as a friend too. So he's been awesome and huge in helping my transition and development. Not just this year, for the last 3 years, and all the time I've been there, kind of as a mentor for me.
So you're a senior now. Did prior to the season, did Coach O'Shea ask you to take on more of a leadership role this year? And if so, does that come naturally for you?
Yeah, definitely. I've been a captain since my sophomore year, so leadership is something that I pride myself on, and competitiveness and all that stuff. So it's really been my teammates that have made the leadership a collective thing. Because obviously losing Frank as a not just as a player, as kind of an influence and a mature head in the locker room was a big deal. But we've kind of made up for that by a committee, and guys like Alex Francis and Claver McMath have really stepped up and embraced their role as leaders too.
So when you look back at your time at Bryant, you came in during the reclassification to Division I. Okay, it was a bit of a tough time. You first started. You were a freshman. You came off the bench. You had a pretty big role. Team won 9 games. Then comes your sophomore season. Okay, this is where the bottom sort of falls out. You're a starter now, but the team struggles. Win 2 games. Then comes your junior year, where you shock pretty much the nation. Biggest turnaround in the NCAA. You go from 2 wins to 19 wins. Suddenly you find yourself not only in the end, a chance at the end of the season to claim the NEC title, but you're in the NEC tournament, and you find yourself in the postseason playing in the CBI. So my question to you is, did you see this coming?
Yes and no. I guess we saw it coming in, and when I was recruited, Coach Kelly, who is responsible for recruiting mostly Australians to Bryant, he kind of had said to me, "Look, we're not going to be much good until your junior year." He said we're not eligible for the tournament, and some other stuff, but he said by your junior year we should be pretty good, and we'll have a chance to compete for our league, and they said that's their aim. And then so my sophomore year came around, and I think we were 2-13 heading into league play, and I felt confident with how we were playing. We played a really tough schedule out of conference, and then unfortunately I went down. I landed on a teammate's foot at practice and hurt my ankle. So then watching the rest of the year, I was able to watch Diami and Joe, who were sitting out. I was able to watch them every day at practice, and from that point on, that was kind of like, all right, these guys are legit, and I get healthy, and we group them with Alex and Frankie, obviously, then that's a pretty good core to build around. So it was kind of when I got hurt and was able to take a step back and watch everyone on a day-to-day basis, I said, yeah, next year we're going to have a chance to make a lot of noise if we stick together.
So now, last year you got the whole band together. You got Joe is eligible, Diami is eligible. You start your non-conference season, and boom, it's the end of November, and what happens? You beat Boston College. Kind of your announcement to the world, Bryant has arrived. What did that win mean to you and to your team?
For me, it was a huge relief because I ran on the sideline with about 2 seconds to go and nearly cost us the game. But coming from where we had been the previous 2 years, beating someone, an ACC school of such stature and history like Boston College was just huge, not only for our team but for the university and the athletic department. It was just massive, and it kind of, as you said, stated like we've arrived now, and we're not to be taken lightly, and we're no joke. We're not just that tick on the schedule that everyone marks down as an automatic W anymore. We're for real. So it was good to just kind of finally get over that hump, and it gave us the confidence that we can really compete in our league and make a run.
So at what point did you guys say to yourself, we can win this whole thing? We're not just good enough to make the tournament. We can win the whole thing.
I think when we beat Lehigh, Frank hit a game winner, and I think it was the first time since I've been there we've finished with a above 500 out of conference record. And in the locker room after the game, Coach we're all pumped up, and Coach kind of said to us like, guys, we can make a run at this thing, and we all believed it, and we had all been saying it, and it was good to see our kind of hard work and our belief in one another was finally starting to pay off. So I think after the Lehigh game last year was when we finally kind of thought, yeah, we can really make a run at this thing.
So one of the great stories I thought from the entire season last year in NEC Hoops was how your fans responded to your team's success. Okay, seemingly out of nowhere, the Chase Center suddenly it's packed, with an atmosphere that most schools would die for, to have the atmosphere that you're getting at the dog pound, so to speak. So that leads me to this. It leads me to a tweet that I saw that you had you posted over the summer. I think it was over the summer, and I kept it. I saved it for something like today when I was going to get to talk to you. And I want to pop it up here on the screen. Give me 1 second. There you go, right there. So this is crazy. It legit nearly brings me to tears. I remember a game my freshman year. We had 22 people come. #legacy. Is it a whole different feeling now walking into the gym on a game day now when you know the dog pound will be rocking as compared to when you first started?
Yeah, it's I can't really put it into words. It's like I said in that tweet, it really is amazing. And every time I think about it, and me and Alex and Clay talk about it, it's kind of like we can't believe it's come to this. You know, we always had faith that it would turn around, but in this capacity, we could have never predicted that, and I don't think anybody could have. And the response from the students and all the members and faculty at Bryant University has been beyond our wildest dreams, and we want to keep building on that and keep moving forward. But as for now, it's just a completely different feeling as to what it was 2 years ago when we'd run out and get announced in front of 20, 30 fans.
It is great, and we'll talk about your game tomorrow when you'll be hosting LIU in a TV game. Hopefully it'll be rocking there tomorrow. But tell me, what was it like playing earlier this season? I was there at Madison Square Garden when you guys played Delaware. Great game, one of the great games you'll see all season. Tell me about what it was like playing in the world's most famous arena.
I think it was the best experience I've ever had playing basketball. I said this when I spoke to my mom. Like, I've played on a few Australian junior national teams, and I've been on a ton of overseas tours, and I've played basketball in Germany and China and a ton of places. But I think that at Madison Square Garden was the most surreal feeling I've ever had. Just running out and watching the way the Ohio State Notre Dame game eventuated before, and then having the opportunity to run out, and compete against Delaware after that was just something that I'll remember, and my teammates will remember for the rest of our lives. Just being out on that court and looking up in the rafters and the bleachers and just seeing, not bleachers, the arena, and just seeing it. It was just amazing, and I can't really put it into words.
Your fans really brought it also there. I mean, there weren't many Delaware fans there. This was a Bryant crowd, and the place wasn't packed or anything, but it was pretty loud there.
Yeah, it was. When I was getting recruited, the coaches always told me New England was a crazy sports place, but I never thought it was like this. And it was over the Christmas break, and it was 2 days before Christmas, and we had, probably 500 students there in the one section, just rowdy, making a lot of noise, and that just amplified the experience.
All right, let's take a look at your team where it stands right now. You're 3-1 in NEC play heading into Thursday. What do you see as the areas where Bryant, not you specifically, but Bryant needs to either excel in or improve in order to stay at the top of the standings and make a run at the championship this year?
I would say I know that we've been criticized last year and earlier this year for our defense. So we've actually been good in NEC play so far. I think the last 3 games we've held our opponents under 40% field goal percentage. So if we can keep improving our defense, I think we got one of the most potent offenses in the league with myself, Joe, Diami, and Alex. So I think if we can just keep improving defensively and rebounding the basketball, I think we have a really good chance to be there at the end.
Give me a rundown of the teams you expect to be there at the end with you in March.
Well, I have to put Robert Morris in there. They beat us 2 weeks ago, so I think Robert Morris. Anytime you have a scorer like Carvel Anderson, you've got a chance to be in any game, and they're really tough. Andy Toole does a good job with them. We haven't played Wagner, and I haven't seen much of Wagner, but I know they're deep and talented, so I expect them to be there at the end. And I guess although LIU are 0-4 right now, you can never count out Brickman and what they do down there. So I think us 4 will be. Oh, and I can't forget St. Francis, New York too. They had a great out of league run, and they've been doing well so far. So it'll be a good game on Saturday. So I expect us 5 to be there at the end, and hopefully that pans out.
I spent a lot of time the last couple of weeks talking about and writing about the point guard position in the NEC. I think it's a real strength in the league this year. Who are some of the guys that you really enjoy matching up with from around the conference?
Um, Justin Brickman, obviously, that's everyone's. He's kind of been the focal point of that offense for 3 years, and the standard by which NEC point guards have been measured. So he's always good to I'll say he's good to watch. He's not great to play against because of we've never beaten him in my time here. So Brickman, I also really enjoy going against Kenny Ortiz. He's a good competitor and a great defender, obviously. So those two are some really good point guards, and Julian Norfleet also. He's having a really good year for Mount St. Mary. So there is a lot of great point guards in this league, and those three are the ones that I enjoy going up against the most.
On your own team, you've gotten to play your entire career with Alex Francis, who's going to go down as one of the all-time greats in this conference. What's it like being at his side as his teammate for 4 years?
It's been a roller coaster ride. I can say that much. I think that was maybe the most underrated part of our growth as a team last year was how Alex matured on and off the court. He just became so much more coachable and just embraced and compassionate as a teammate to all of us. And he's obviously going to go down as one of the great NEC players of all time. And so being alongside him is, it's obviously been a great experience because of how good of a player he's been. But from what I'm going to remember is the last 2 years when Alex has really grown as a person and embraced his status at the school, and it's been amazing. And hopefully in 10, 20 years time we'll be able to look back and say, we really did some great things at Bryant.
What about De'Ami Starks? What's his impact on the program? How does it feel when you're driving that lane and dishing, and you know that he's standing out by that 3-point line, waiting to pop it from there?
It's like the momentum shifts that he can bring a game. It's like Blake Griffin at the Clippers. Not quite athletically, obviously, but especially with our fans, the way he can shift the game with his ability to make shots, it's amazing. And it comes as no surprise to anyone on our team because he's one of the hardest workers I've ever played with. So, he puts in his time and he gets the results. But when Alex rebounds and I get the ball on the break and I see De'Ami running the lane, I get excited that this is almost a guaranteed 3 points here.
What about Dan Garvin? Now he's been a revelation on this team. How long before you realized how much he would impact the club?
We knew from day one. It was just a matter of time before he realized it. No, he's been awesome for us. Unfortunately, he's been sick the last week, but hopefully we get him back soon. But his growth and his ability to influence games with his length and size on the defensive end is something that we've never had at Bryant. And we're lucky to have him. He's an unbelievable talent, and he's only going to get better.
I totally agree. I'm a big fan of his. I like the way that he can impact the game on the defensive end of the floor.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Let's talk about your coaching staff. This is like a coaching staff like no other. It's like an all-star lineup you have here. So Coach O'Shea added Al Skinner in the offseason, the former Boston College and URI coach. Then you have Happy Dobbs, who's a seasoned veteran, has been around the game. Do you ever get the feeling if you can just keep the game close, these guys are going to figure out a way to get you over the hump at the end of that game?
Yeah, it definitely. It makes my job easier as a point guard. When the year began, there could have easily been some people there, and I heard there was some people criticizing maybe having two ex-head coaches of the status of Al and Happy, plus Tim O'Shea. They might bump heads, or there might be a battle for who's actually saying stuff in practice, but it's worked out really well. Happy's more loud and boisterous and out there, and Al's more reserved and calm, and obviously Coach O'Shea does what he does. So it's been really good, and they're different personalities, and they have actually blended really well with each other, and I think it's made my job as a point guard a lot easier.
Okay, Corey, let's get back a little bit into your background. We'll switch gears a little bit. You're one of 4 Australians on the team. So how did Coach O'Shea, how did he even find you? How did Corey Maynard to Bryant happen?
Claiborne McMath was a freshman on the team my senior year of high school, and we played together growing up. So when they were going through the transition and they were trying to look at different avenues that they could recruit players, Coach Kelly kind of asked Clay if he knew of any point guards, and he pointed in my direction, and it just so happened that I was coming off a pretty good Australian Nationals tournament, and my recruiting had kind of picked up, and so Coach Kelly got in contact, and because of Clay, I took an official visit at the end of my senior year of high school, and Bryant ticked all the boxes pretty much straight away for what I wanted in a school, and that's kind of how I ended up here, and I like to think that I made a pretty good decision.
Did you feel comfortable right away when you arrived in Smithfield? How long did it take before it felt like a second home to you?
Um, I went through some ups and downs like any freshman do, but from day one, I felt welcomed, and I always maintained that I wanted to go somewhere to college with someone that I knew, just to help ease the transition. And my parents liked that idea, and so when I took a visit here with my mom, she loved it, and so did I. So we felt welcomed into the Bryant family from day one, and although there were some ups and downs in the first year or two, it's always felt like my home. I love it here. It's only 20 minutes from Providence and 40 minutes from Boston, and apart from the weather, it's pretty similar to Australia. So I really love it here.
Is like word out in Australia about Bryant? Do players there know about the school?
It's definitely lifting its profile. Any time you do what we did last year, it's going to make some noise, and our game against Notre Dame was actually televised live on ESPN2 back home. So it was on 10 a.m. in the morning. All my family and friends were getting up to watch me play back here. So Brian's profile, while it hasn't got the profile of St. Mary's right now, it's definitely on the up. And as long as we can keep winning and stay relevant, the sky's the limit for Bryant.
Well, we recently shot a feature, and we were talking about this, Corey and I, before we went on here, with the 4 Australian players that are currently at Bryant. It's going to air during tomorrow night's TV game between Bryant and LIU. And there's one thing you could see is, the respect and the friendship between all of you. Is there that just unspoken bond between the 4 of you, knowing that you're all from a common place?
Yeah, definitely, and it helps a lot that me and Clay were so close before we came, as were Declan and Bosco, and from day one, it's just kind of been a thing. That's kind of the Australian way, is we treat everyone well, and we love everybody. So we've kind of embraced that and embraced each other, and we've tried to bring that aspect to the locker room at Bryant, and we get criticized for it sometimes for being a bit too close and a bit too lovable, but we'll take it over some hate. So it's been great to have those 3 here, and Declan and Bosco are kind of treated like our little brothers, but it's all love.
What would you say are the main differences between the style of play in Australia and the collegiate game here in the States?
The pace and athleticism is definitely just a notch up in the States. In Australia, I'm just used to playing against a bunch of guys like me, just unathletic white guys that can make the occasional shot. So that was definitely something I had to get used to. My freshman year was definitely just the pace and the athleticism of the players 1 through 5. Instead of going up against 6-foot unathletic point guards, I'm going up against guys like Sidney Sanders, who are 5'11" jets and built like trucks. So that's definitely different, but I like to think I've gotten adjusted now, and I'm really enjoying the challenge.
Growing up in Australia, were you all basketball all the time? Did you have other sports you played?
No, I played Australian rules football, which is like a kind of a mix between rugby and American football and soccer. It's pretty similar to Irish football, if anyone knows what that is. But I played that growing up until I was 15, and that was kind of my number 1 sport. My grandfather and my dad played professionally, and my grandfather coached professionally. So that was kind of in my blood, and that was always my number one sport. So it wasn't till I was about 15 where I quit football back home and actually started to focus on basketball.
Who was your basketball idol growing up?
Chauncey Billups. I always loved Chauncey. I always thought that just his big shot making ability and his toughness and competitiveness. I just loved to watch him. I know he wasn't a popular pick. It wasn't like Allen Iverson or Kobe Bryant or guys like that, but I could just sit there and watch Chauncey Billups all day, the way he leads a team and defends, and yeah, he was definitely my idol growing up. And in terms of Australian basketball, obviously Patty Mills, Andrew Bogut, and dating back to guys like Shane Heal and Andrew Gaze.
There's some good talent there. I remember Andrew Gaze from his Seton Hall days. He was pretty big around here in the New York area, so he was the first that I think really broke through. Am I right?
Yeah. He was kind of he kind of set the standard early, and I think he was about a 25-year-old leading Seton Hall to the national championship game. But he's from my hometown in Australia, so he's huge back there, and he's done great things for the game of basketball in Australia.
How often do you get a chance to go home?
We go home every summer. We're lucky enough to have a coach like Coach O'Shea who understands that we don't get to see our family and friends that much. So he doesn't force us into staying for summer school. It's a decision that we're free to make. So we usually fly home together at the end of May, and then we're back usually mid-August. So it's like a 9-month hiatus, and then we get 3 months at home at the end of each year.
So what do you guys do during the holidays? You homesick during that period of time?
Yeah, we get homesick. It's kind of bad over Christmas and big holidays like that. Especially I come from a family where we're really tight knit and close, and that's how a lot of families are in Australia. So I miss them a lot during holiday periods. But we've also been lucky enough to have families like the Calandrillos, who Dan was a senior here last year, and the McLaughlins. Obviously Shane's a sophomore in our team now. Welcome us into their house for things like Thanksgiving and Christmas, and they've made the transition and the holidays that much easier.
What is there like a food that you get in Australia you can't get here that you really miss? You can't wait to get home to eat?
Yeah, I really love sausages and bread. So people say, isn't that just a hot dog? But it's not. They wouldn't understand. We like our sausages cooked on an Australian barbecue in a slice of bread with some onion and ketchup, and I miss that the most.
What's the biggest misconception about being, Australians that people have that you encounter on a daily basis?
Yeah, probably that kangaroos are everywhere. I've probably seen 2 or 3 in my life. My dad's family's from the outback, and we visit there all the time, and that's where they're told to be most prevalent. And even then, I never really see them. So that's definitely the biggest misconception. There aren't kangaroos everywhere.
Okay, so let's get back. A few more questions, and we'll let you go. But what's the best part about attending Bryant? Why should people go there?
It's like a family. It really is like just a small community. There's only about 3,500-4,000 undergrads, and you seemingly know everyone around campus, and everybody knows you, and it's just I love those family values that Bryant kind of prides themselves on, and you can just see by the way the community got behind us when we were on our run last year. It's a sport crazed place, New England, and they obviously love their sports. So that's the part I love about Bryant, is how it's just a small community, and everybody's friendly, and they get behind the athletic department.
I know you're a management major, you're a communications and sociology minor. We'll get to that in a second. As a senior, do you have professional playing aspirations?
Yeah, definitely. I'm just trying to take my career as far as I can. Hopefully I'll play either back home or in Europe at the conclusion of my career with Bryant. Not too focused on it right now. I'm just trying to help us get better each day and make one final run at the tournament. But I'm I definitely want to play at the conclusion of my career, whether that's back home or in Europe.
So if you do get to play and your basketball playing career ends, what do you see yourself settling into?
Um, I really think I want to stay in the game of basketball. So I wouldn't be surprised if I, at the conclusion of my playing career, if you see me back over here on trying to get on the sidelines. I love college basketball, so maybe a college basketball coach one day. In terms of anything completely basketball unrelated, my dad has always worked in radio and marketing and kind of the media, and that really interests me too. Maybe a marketing job with or a management job with a professional sports team or something like that back home, or a radio station would be really, really good.
That's great. That's awesome. Well, I think we hit on everything here, Corey. You've been a fantastic guest, by the way, I have to say. You can watch Corey Maynard and his Bryant teammates play this Thursday on MSG Network, Fox College Sports, and up in your area on Cox Sports Cable. Last year, these two teams had one of the best games I've seen in a long time. LIU Brooklyn just edged the Bulldogs. Corey said he's never beaten the Blackbirds. He wants to get one this year. He's a senior. So we're hoping for a good one. The students are back in session. We should have a nice crowd. And I will be up in Smithfield tomorrow. Hopefully I get a chance to say hello to you. And we'll have a great game tomorrow. Thanks for joining us, Corey. I really enjoyed this.
No problem. It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for watching our Google Hangout presented by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Please visit geico.com. We will see you next week with our Google Hangout on air. So long, folks.